Welcome back. Now let's talk more about security issues that we talked about. I talked about actually earlier with Barrister Onyekachi Ubani. 2018 has been a really troubling year for the Nigerian security forces. Since the start of the year, there's been attacks upon attacks by unidentified gunmen leading to the deaths of over 200 persons in several states, including Benue, Taraba, Nasarawa, and Zamfara. Now, most of the violence has, of course, been blamed on clashes between herders and farmers over grazing land. The frequency of the attacks compelled the military to launch what it calls Operation Cat Race, aimed at curbing the attacks and checking the herders-farmers clashes. The operation, which lasted for 6 weeks, ended on March the 31st. Despite the successes recorded by the military during that operation, the attacks have not stopped. Most of the attacks have been in the north-central Benue state, with the latest happening last Tuesday, which has drawn widespread condemnation. In that attack, 19 people, including 2 priests, were killed after gunmen opened fire on a Catholic church at Ayambalom community in Gwe East local government area of the state. Here's what the Benue State Deputy Governor had to say about the attack.
I understand that 2 Reverend Fathers were killed right inside the church. And this is a new dimension of attack. It has never happened before. I also understand that 17 other people lost their lives, making a total of 19. You can therefore see why I say this is another black day in the history of Benue State. We are under siege, and I do believe that this has gone beyond the normal herdsman, farmer crisis. I think it's gone beyond that. What we are having at the moment is an attack by insurgents, and these insurgents could come from any source, any background, and should therefore be regarded as a very grave and serious matter. And my take on the matter is that the federal government and all the security agencies should look at this matter as no longer the usual herdsmen, farmers crisis.
Now, President Buhari, in his reaction to the attack, described it as vile and demonic. He also warned Nigerians not to resort to the temptation of reprisal attacks. Worried by the seemingly never-ending attacks, the National Assembly has now summoned the president to address a joint session of parliament over the security challenges in Benue and other parts of the country. No date has yet been fixed for the appearance of the president, and the lawmakers have made it clear the president himself that they want to hear from the president himself and not from a representative. But the governors have, of course, been defending the president, and here is what the governor of Jigawa State had to say in defense of the president.
We have been begging Americans to sell these equipments for us. We tried Dubai, they could not allow because it's patented. We try, I think there is a factory in one of the, I think it's in Brazil. The federal government tried, we couldn't get. The Americans still couldn't sell to Nigeria. Then luckily, the president said it's okay to buy. That's President Trump. So we have to quickly buy before they change their mind. Because there is also a deadline, and this is state-to-state transaction, no middleman. And we are all here concerned about security. And they're raising questions on how and manner on which you protect people. This is an emergency situation. So this thing has to be understood clearly and look at the whole situation in the fuller perspective, not a narrow perspective. The president did what he has to do to protect his people.
All right, joining me now to discuss the security situation in the country further, especially in the north central of the country, and that's Benue State. I'm being joined by Colonel Hassan Stanlabo, who is a retired military officer. Colonel, thank you very much for joining us on the program. You look at what is going on in Benue. the attacks are becoming incessant, like almost every other day you have an attack. Why do you think we're finding it difficult? I'm talking about the country's military, for instance, finding it difficult to handle this. Maybe not just the military, but the security agencies as a whole.
Frankly speaking, DEJI, it beats my imagination, I must say this. And I think the bloodbath it has become one too many. It's gotten to a point where, look, frankly, we need to take a halt and ask ourselves what's happening. Is this our own Nigeria? Is this the country we actually had looked up to all this while? What is happening? The daily killings is becoming very disturbing. These are human beings we are talking about, not Christmas chicken. It's getting out of hand completely. I don't know what to say about the security agents, but I think so far they've not been able to meet the bill. We must face it. What are the issues involved? Is it a failure of intelligence or what? Fine, I would want to look at the issue of failure of intelligence too, because frankly speaking, I expect that we should stop responding. Which is what we have been doing. Which is what we've been doing.
There's an attack, we respond.
And we respond.
No action to prevent an attack from happening, or after an attack has happened, intelligence gathering to make a
yes, no proactive moves. Where is the intelligence community? Don't they feel disturbed? Don't they know that an issue as this actually is a minus on them? Frankly speaking, DEJI, I expect the intelligence community to be highly disturbed. I expect the DSS office or whoever is running that organization to feel highly disturbed. In fact, if I were him, I would relocate to Benue. If it means that. This situation has gotten to a point where some of us, out of national interest, are beginning to say, look, in order to save lives, do we declare a martial law? Do we suspend the constitution in these affected states? Bring in military administrators or retired administrators and give them standing instructions, timeline, task, achieve this within so days, this within so weeks, and so on, move in our entire resources. We must stop the killing.
The National Assembly too has called for a state of emergency in some of those troubled spots. But of course, I would not know if that state of emergency would encompass removing the political structure in those states now.
Whatever it takes us to stop the killing, please, sincerely, we've got to. DEJI, it is getting out of hand. Yesterday night, I thought of something which really brought me look, I felt so undisturbed. I was sweating. I asked myself, what if these women and children that have been slaughtered were to be mine? And I just returned back home to meet my little daughter's head dangling at one side and her body dangling somewhere else. And I see my son there kicking for last breath. You must put yourself in the situation of those who are suffering this to be able to get the real import of what is happening, DEJI. At times we discuss this thing enough, so distant, so you don't really feel it. Put yourself in that situation. Like when we are discussing the Dapchi girls thing or Chibok. Put yourself in the position of the parents, that one or two of your daughters have been carried away to Boko Haram, and somebody is telling you not to go and negotiate. You will tell that fellow to keep quiet and carry his theories to America and allow us to look for solutions to our problems. DEJI, look, we must stop this. Whatever it takes the government.
The Benue State Deputy Governor said something quite important when the last attack now on that church where 2 priests were killed.
Imagine.
He said that, look, these had gone beyond the usual headers, farmers crisis, that what they are facing are basically insurgents. And as a matter of fact, the Minister of Agriculture actually said the Deputy Governor told them that, you know, from some of where based on the information they've been able to gather on the ground, that some of these individuals who carry out these attacks are actually not Nigerians. And of course, one of the reasons why the Nigerian government had to invite ministers of security and agriculture from various ECOWAS countries, and they met here just recently, the Nigerian government now trying to get ECOWAS to enforce the protocol now on the movement of undocumented persons. So do you share that view of the Deputy Governor that this has certainly gone beyond the normal clashes you would have between herders and farmers?
I agree with him, Deji. I really agree with him. You see, I must tell you one thing. Maybe by virtue of my military background, I'm a highly detribalized Nigerian. You know, I can fit and survive in anywhere in Nigeria. I don't even know when I visited my village last. However, the point I'm trying to make is that, look, for quite some while, I've always detested this idea of people trying to politicize the issue, bring in religious coloration to it, bring in ethnic coloration. And so on, you know.
Which is dangerous.
Yes, as dangerous as it could be. I've been looking at it from maybe a very simplistic position that, look, these are herdsmen trying to look for greener pastures for their heads and so on. And unfortunately for us, they don't give a damn. They move into any farm and so on and so forth. That's been my own interpretation. With the killing of this reverend gentleman and the church thing and so on, unless if maybe, and I don't pray that it happens, that maybe a similar killing takes place maybe in some mosque somewhere,
which is not
which I don't pray for, but we are analyzing. Otherwise, there are Nigerians who will now begin to give it some religious coloration. They will not see it from the angle which some of us are saying that, look, the guys doing these things are madmen. They don't give a that. After all, that was how Boko Haram started.
Yeah.
Until it dawned on everybody that, look, if you like, be an imam, they don't give a damn. They will slaughter you up the way they will slaughter a bishop, and so on. Otherwise, Nigerians at times are quick to draw in all these ethnic and religious interpretations to anything that happens. You know, and things like that.
We saw what happened in Benue State, was it just a few days ago, where, the Hausa community there was attacked.
Yeah, right.
That's a clear danger signal.
Yes.
It's a clear danger signal. It's a clear danger signal, no doubt at all. So for you now, what do you think needs to be done at this very moment? How best do you think we can begin to tackle this crisis?
Well, somebody would say we should have, like the situation is now, we should be talking of an immediate, before we talk of medium and maybe long-term solutions. All right? Maybe let me start with the medium-term solutions. And to me, the medium-term solutions, like I've always said, I don't know whether on your platform or so, is that I've talked about the idea of the government coming up with a credit funding structure, credit fund, which both host communities and the Fulani herdsmen could benefit from. The Fulani herdsmen will draw out of such credit fund to be able to buy land for their graze, that is, believing that we have all accepted that open grazing, no more. We are all going into grazing now. So to facilitate it for the Fulani herdsman who might not have the resources
and also
to get the sort of
and that is also believing that all these attacks are as a result of the carried out by the Fulani herdsmen.
Thank you, because otherwise yes, going by that
because
belief,
the fact on the ground does not suggest so.
Thank you, my brother. Going by that belief, because now we are working on a lot of assumptions.
Yeah.
A lot of assumptions, just to save time and so on. Such credit funding, the host communities will also benefit from it, so as to enable them establish farms where they will grow the necessary fodder for the heads, which the Fulani men will be keeping. So the Fulanis can buy this fodder, whatever, for their heads. So it will be a win-win situation whereby both host communities and the Fulani herdsmen are all benefiting from. Okay? Looking at that too, I am also of the opinion too that our NOA or an enlightenment campaign, serious enlightenment campaign, should be carried out, especially in the language of those involved, the actors, that is the Fulani. Don't come and start carrying out some enlightening campaign on some polished Queen's English on the television for me. I'm not a herdsman. The Fulanis are known to be carrying their radios at every point. Penetrate them through that radio in their own language and explain to them why it has become necessary for us now to move on from this open grazing thing to the closed grazing option, and let him know what the benefits are.
Of course.
Greater yield in terms of milk, the fatter is
exactly what
and so on.
Exactly what a committee set up by the National Economic Council suggested, and that they are starting that now in 5 states. The
earlier they do it, the better. Oh my God.
But very quickly now, other than this, in the immediate, what needs to be done?
If I say it, you will not accept with me, because frankly speaking, at times my opinion could be completely radical. In the immediate, I will tell you, look, suspend the constitution in all those states. Martial law be imposed in all those affected states. Appoint military administrators or retired officers to take over leadership in those states. Assign them with tasks that will go along with timelines. This must be achieved within 2 weeks. This must be achieved within 1 month. This must be achieved within give them, and then see them at work. Give them what they need to do. Mobilize troops into all those areas immediately. The idea is that we must stop the killing. We must arrest those behind all this killing, and so on. So that is the more reason why we are suspending the constitution, so that we can bring in brutes, naked brutes, to bear on the situation and arrest it immediately. All these democratic principles of freedom and liberty cannot help us in this situation. After we have protected lives and property, and we are sure that the North Central is completely safe, we can now restore back democratic, and this will take about 6 months or thereabout. If after 6 months, we think the place is not fully stabilized, we'll put another 3 months.
That's going to be a very
very
difficult decision to make.
Yes, but it must be taken by someone. We must step on toes. The president is a soldier. So what are we talking about?
He's a soldier, but he's operating within a democratic setting.
Oh, Jesus
Christ. And he's a Democrat now, anyway.
We need this.
No doubt. I mean, you definitely would need a radical decision to check
How
this.
How else do you stop this killing? How else? We keep telling stories here and people are dying?
You sure would need a radical decision, and maybe that's what the Senate had in mind when it called for a declaration of state of emergency.
These citizens die, helpless citizens dying in the villages. They've got nobody to protect them other than the elite or elite political class, who themselves will not make any move until people like you and I sit here and tell them certain plain truths into their faces.
And we also cannot remove politics completely from some of these killings.
Of course. Of course. So we need people who will go in with some level of open-mindedness. People who will not take sides. We have such persons amongst us, who if you move them there, you will see action.
Colonel, thank you very much for coming on the program, and thank you for sharing your thoughts with us.
I appreciate it.
Well, that's it on the program. If you want to watch it again, it's simple. Just go to our website, www.tv360nigeria.com. You'll find this program and lots more there. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/TV360Nigeria. Do subscribe for more videos and updates. You can join us on Google Plus as well at TV360 Nigeria, or like us on Facebook. The address is facebook.com/TV360 online. You can as well follow us on Twitter. Our handle is at TV360 Nigeria. We thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again next week.